First, the welfare card loophole that's blindsided everyone. With the controversial card set to be scrapped, it's now emerged users have racked up debt using buy now, pay later schemes.
Afterpay, Zippy Pay, and that is one of the most dangerous things that you can have.
A significant proportion of people using the cashless debit card have accessed buy now, pay later arrangements.
Yeah, a lot of customers do that, and I think, no.
If the country is about supporting people, then it can't just pull a tool away and say we're not doing it anymore based on an election promise.
During the federal election, the Labor Party campaigned hard on scrapping the cashless debit card from trial sites around the country. Now in government, it's acted quickly to do so, but it's already hit a hurdle and not everyone is happy.
This is the wrong decision. It's been done without consultation.
It was the controversial social policy telling welfare recipients where they could spend their money.
You get 20% in cash, 80% in an account, but you can't spend it on grog, you can't spend it on pokers, you can't spend it on gambling, and it limits the amount of money you have for illicit substances.
More than 17,000 recipients were part of a trial around the country, but now the new federal government has said no more.
Today our government is saying enough is enough. We're calling time on the cashless debit card.
But winding the card up isn't as easy as just switching it off. After it was revealed, 80% of users have signed up to buy now, pay later debts.
It was a bit of a shock because, of course, this card was sold as a debit card, obviously with a lot of people using buy now, pay later arrangements. It does make the transition a bit more difficult.
New Minister for Social Services, Amanda Rishworth.
There has been no evidence whatsoever that the card itself made a difference to alcohol misuse.
But that's not what locals on the ground say.
It's ludicrous. And like I say, it is in decent haste with no community consultation. They ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Faye Whiffen runs the Howard Community Centre and was part of the former government's reference group for the trial in the Wide Bay region of Queensland. She says the group immediately saw improvements after the card rolled out.
They were excellent changes for the better, and I'm focusing really on kids. Breakfast club, just a significant reduction in kids requiring food provided by the school, the chaplaincy program.
She fears any positive ground that's been made in the 3 years of the card locally will soon disappear.
It's idiocy. I don't know how much stronger I could be with this, that at no stage in the last 5 years has Labor or anybody else put up an alternative plan to this.
And with so many users signed up to buy now, pay later schemes, Faye fears there will be issues phasing out the card.
Buy now, pay later companies, they're not going to forgive debt because they won't be around. They won't stay in business if they forgive debt.
We've actually stepped backwards. We've actually entered a world again where welfare and where care for people has been put on the back burner.
Sandra Holbrook from the Hervey Bay Chamber of Commerce says there was a marked improvement of rents being paid once the card started.
That removal of it so quickly is a waste of taxpayers' money. We should be looking at how the card could be morphed into another state and how it could be actually improved on further.
But for those on the card, like Lara Corsten, she'll be happy to see the end of it. So Lara, you're on the cashless debit card. Describe for me what it's been like for you.
Pretty hard. You can't pay your bills. Most bills are direct debited, everything, so it's just pretty hard to pay bills off of it. You can't actually do any direct debits off of it. So it's only you have to go in to do it.
Lara's hoping she'll be able to roll off the card immediately, but thinks buy now, pay later schemes should have been blocked.
When it comes to that, I think it should have been. And people should know their limits anyway on what they...
I thought you couldn't even use it on that.
When you look at people that don't make a car payment, so that because they've got too much in buy now, pay later debt, who's going to step in then? Who's supposed to step in? Good old taxpayer again?
I think it's just more evidence that the card works. They've had the ability to actually pay those contracts and pay those bills. which they may not have had before.
Local member Keith Pearce says the abolishing of the card will be to the detriment of his community.
It is absolutely appalling. This is the youth of our nation who are finding themselves in difficult circumstances and unable to get out of them.
It's an election promise for the people of Sydney and Melbourne. It's very clearly supported here and in the other trial sites.
He says locals in his electorate and the 3 other trial sites around regional Australia all supported the card.
The local MPs were all returned to their local electorates. They were supported by their community. If this was the issue Labor was making out as such a big political issue, as such a big ideological issue, that just wouldn't have happened.
He hopes some of the new senators will help block the legislation to scrap the card and wants to know what the government is planning to help in its place.
If we don't help get individuals off welfare before the age of 30, the overwhelming majority will still be there at the age pension.
There was a lot of time for people to have their say. I don't believe we're rushing this, but it's important that we get on and deliver and start the process of transitioning people off this card.
Well, Afterpay told us it will contact each customer with a cashless debit card linked to their account to arrange an alternative payment.